Inside the men's basketball office here with head coach John Gross. After returning back from the Cayman Islands, coach, just give me an overall assessment of how that trip was for you guys.
I was really encouraged, Chad. I thought that we did a lot of really good things against really good competition, and it got me even more excited to work with the guys to address and identify first and then address some areas that playing that level of competition forces you to see. When you see those things and you got a chance to get better, as long as you have awareness and recognition that, hey, we need to improve in these areas. And I think our team has certainly taken that approach since we've gotten back from the Caymans. We've been really fortunate. We've been able to take a couple days off to try to get our legs and our minds fresh, while at the same time also having some really quality practices where we could focus on us prior to this 1 or 2 days leading into Alabama State.
Wanted to talk to you about one of your leaders, Daniel Utome, the team going 7 for 41 against the Illinois State Redbirds, and then coming back and seeing 5 drop from three-point arc right away. Just talk about the mentality he's had, kind of a firing and go guy.
Well, as long as they're good ones, we want him to shoot them and shoot as many of them as he can get off, as long as they're good shots. I thought, you know what, interestingly enough, Chad, and this has happened to some of the other teams I've coached as an assistant and head coach, they had the FIBA line down. And so our guys, thought that maybe by shooting from behind there, they'd give an extra point. They could get 4 or 5 points instead. So we took some really deep ones the first day or two, and it took us a game and a half to get adjusted to the depth of that line. So I thought that had something to do with our three-point percentage, certainly on the second day. Not to take anything away from Illinois State, but you're right. We lose the game by 5 points and go 7 for 41 from 3. If you just go 9 or 10 for 41 from 3, you win the game. So we came right back on the third day and obviously shot it a lot better. And Dan in particular, I thought he played maybe one of his best all-around games when you consider defending, as a part of his shot making as well, or in concert with his shot making, and then his rebounding, his offensive rebounding in addition to his defensive rebounding. I thought all those things were really clicking for him and made a big difference for us, for our team.
And then the last question I want to ask you in regards to the Cayman Island trip was just the camaraderie of the guys going on that trip. What were some of the things you guys did as a team outside of the court?
Well, most of it for those guys was in the afternoons. They were able to enjoy the beach and the good weather, and poolside, and hang out and throw a football on the beach, and get in the ocean, and I think some of them did jet skis and banana boats and all those different things. So they were able to do some of that. Us coaches weren't able to do that as much because it was 3 games in 3 days. I think our boosters, our donors, alums that traveled had a great time being able to partake in what the island offered, and then our families were able to have a great time, which is awesome. I'm glad that they did. For us, it was more about preparing for the next opponent, learning what we could very quickly from the previous game, and I thought the guys did a really good job of mixing business with the pleasure down there, and were really professional in that regard.
Now we're moving ahead to this week. You have Alabama State coming in tomorrow, Detroit Mercy on Saturday. Talk to me on what you want to see improve for the guys on the court.
Well, I think first, defensively we're making a lot of progress. We've got to do a better job of blocking out, not giving up second chance opportunities. I thought we struggled in that area a little bit in the Caymans. Second area would be continuing to defend without fouling, making sure that when we do foul, they're basketball, aggressive, defensive type fouls, not where we're handsy or we put our hands on people or they're undisciplined fouls. And then offensively, we're doing a lot of things really well right now. You look at the stat sheet, we're top 15 in the nation at taking care of the ball. We're shooting top 50 in the nation in 2-point percentage. Our free throw rate, or ability to get to the free throw lines, top 40 in the nation. The one area we're struggling, which is interesting because we've got a great shooting team, is 3-point percentage. You mentioned the 7 for 41 against Illinois State, and then we came back against St. Bonaventure and shot it better. But part of it is making sure that we read situations better. I call it reading the road conditions. They run you off the line, you drive it. They close out short, or they're not there, you shoot it. And continuing to get used to playing with each other and knowing where each other's sweet spots are. I think you'll see that percentage go up as the year moves forward.
And then is there any one individual in particular who's kind of standing out that isn't one of your leaders, like Daniel Tomey or Jamond Ivey, like Tyler Cheese, or any of those guys?
Yeah, I think, we give out what's called the gold standard, which a big part of that gold standard is giving The guy earns it by the way he defends and rebounds, and then the offensive efficiency is certainly a part of that, taking care of the ball and how efficient you shoot. But Dang Riak has been the gold standard now 3 times this year. Dan, you told me 4. We give it out each week. Preseason, it's based on practices only. And then in season, it's based on games only that particular week, Sunday through Saturday. Dang's gotten the last 2. And he's number 1 on our team in defensive efficiency rating for the individual when he's in the game. So he's really impacted our team at a high level on that end of the floor with just his effort, his size, his brain. He's very smart and has really done a nice job for us.
Appreciate the time as always, Coach. And fans, don't forget the Alabama State Yellow Jackets come into James A. Rhodes Arena tomorrow. That game's at 7 p.m. Detroit Mercy will be here Saturday at 5 p.m. For Chad Welker and the Zips Digital Network, have a great week. And as always, go Zips.